Hello and welcome to this week's episode of GSB TV. This is our sales and marketing edition today. Joining me, Miss Amanda Adams, I'm Chris Barnes, and we have a great session planned for you today focusing on networking and networking functions. So let's just jump right into it, Amanda. We're going to start by taking you through about 8 or 9 different places and different groups that you're going to want to look at as potential networking opportunities. Amanda?
Yeah, so I think a good place to start is a local networking group in most major cities that's called BNI. And BNI is good because, let's be honest, sometimes it's just a numbers game, right? The more people you meet, the more connections you make, the better business you'll do. And BNI is just one of those well-known networking organizations. So when you're looking at groups to join, you obviously want to take into account one that has a bigger reach. So if you can increase the number of people that you meet and opportunities that you have, why not start with a group like BNI? I've had personal experience networking through them. What I have found is that it's a great group of people who are in professions like real estate and banking, independent insurance agents, a lot of people who, like yourselves, are entrepreneurs, business owners, who sometimes feel like you're on an island all your own and you need to get out and meet people. So it makes sense to get with a group like BNI, right?
Absolutely. BNI is terrific. And the next one I would share with you is another group that's across the country, and that's LETIP. LETIP, LETIP. And BNI is great, but like Amanda said, it's a numbers game. They're a little bit larger organization. LETIP is just like them, but a little bit smaller. They focus mainly on the quality of referrals rather than just straight up leads. So it's definitely a group that you're going to want to go ahead and take a look at, and that's LETIP.
The next one we want to talk about, Chris, hopefully you don't know too much about this group. It's Women in Business Networking. And there's just something to be said about female energy and being around a group of people who can relate to you, not just in a group, but also just gender-based. You know, I mean, women, we're a little bit different than guys and experience different situations in the workplace, different emotions, and sometimes it helps just to be around people that are like you, can relate to you. And there's all kinds of sectors. When you go to a women's networking group like that, you're going to meet single moms, you're going to meet stay-at-home moms, you're going to meet women who have kind of walked the same path as you. And once you find a commonality that's outside of just business, who knows what that will lead to. So it's always good, whether it be a group like Women in Business Networking or something else that you can relate to based on your personal life, it always helps to have an outside connection that's not just business related, but someone that you can connect with on a different level. So that's why I would recommend doing something like Women in Business Networking.
Absolutely. Another one to look at, and it doesn't maybe cast as wide a net, but it casts a net right where it needs to, and that's your local Chamber of Commerce. Your local chamber is a great opportunity to go ahead and expose who you are and what you do to the folks who live and work right around your local business. So it's a great opportunity to meet like-minded individuals who shop where you shop, experience the things that you experience, pay the same taxes, and encounter the same rules and regs that you experience on a daily basis. So it's a great opportunity to network with those folks, and that's your Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, and the next one we want to talk about is kind of similar to the Chamber, but it's the CVB, the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Now, we know that not all of you who are watching this are necessarily in an industry that is related to tourism.
Right.
But even if you're not, think about those business owners that are. Those are hotel owners, those are restaurant owners, those are people who run attractions. You know, these are business opportunities for you as well. So you kind of got to think outside the box. And even though it might not be your direct industry, there's always going to be some sort of outside opportunity there. So don't just look at these things one-sided and say, well, I'm not in the tourism industry, I can't do that. Just because you're not in that industry doesn't mean that that person won't need your services at a certain time, or that you won't need theirs at a certain time. So events are a huge thing that we talk about a lot here at Go Small Biz. And sometimes when you're having an event, you need hotels, you need restaurants. It's not going to hurt to meet and network with those people. And the CVB, again, going back to the numbers game, usually has a pretty broad range depending on the city that you're in. I know here in Atlanta where we are, it's a very good connection to having a good group to be a part of. So I would definitely recommend looking into an opportunity to network with your local Convention and Visitors Bureau.
And one I love is networking with the young professionals. Now,
you do?
I do. I love this. And part of the reason I do is a lot of times these events are actually really fun. They're fun to be at. They're people who are typically fun to be around. For individuals like us, under 40 crowd.
You don't have much longer, Chris.
That's true, I don't. But needless to say, it's a lot of fun, like-minded individuals. A lot of times they have events at really cool, hip places, restaurants, bars, bowling alleys, you name it. But it gives you the opportunity to network in an atmosphere that's not only professional, but fun.
Yeah, and do you know why I like the under 40 group so much? It's because they're not on the tail end of their careers yet and thinking about retirement or succession planning.
Very good
The under
point.
40 groups are still very ambitious. They're still grinding. So when you're thinking about responses and how you're actually going to implement something or have a call to action after a networking event, I think under 40 is a really good group to feed off of, because these are going to be people who are going to want to follow through and really try to work with you to accomplish something together. So I do like that option.
Great point.
The next one we were going to talk about is the Rotary Club, which you have personal experience with.
I do. I've actually got a number of friends that work within Rotary, a gentleman by the name of Jeff and a gentleman by the name of Victor. And I actually reached out to them prior to this because I said, Rotary's more of a service organization, isn't it? It's not really a networking place. And they said, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a chance for professionals and business professionals to kind of go out into the community, but also across the country and internationally, and really give back. They said, we've been so blessed to experience the successes that we've had, but Rotary gives us the opportunity to give back. But what they said is this: it's typically a group of real movers and shakers within the community, very professional and very successful individuals, and Rotarians typically do business with other Rotarians. So even though it may not be a generic, networking opportunity, trust me, there is a lot of business that is done there, and it gives you the opportunity to give back to the community as well.
It's kind of like a fraternity. They all do business with each other. Once you've got that badge of honor,
Absolutely.
You got a little leg up on the competition.
For sure.
Now, what about Kiwanis? I know you wanted to talk about that one a little bit as well.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think Kiwanis and Rotary could be grouped in kind of to the same type organizations, in that they're typically more service oriented. Kiwanis is a little bit kind of smaller and more focused on the general community rather than nationally or internationally. So they try to do more in like smaller pockets, but it's definitely a great opportunity and something you want to look into.
That's great. One that I wanted to hit on specifically is meetup.com.
Yeah.
Now, if you are not familiar with meetup.com, familiarize yourself with it, because it can be very useful in today's environment. I mean, let's be honest, so much business is done online, so much socializing is done through social media. Meetup is fantastic because you can choose any interest that you have. For instance, I'm actually part of a sushi lovers meetup. So again, this goes back to, let's not just go, what do you do for business? Here's my business card. When you're networking, it's so important to find a connection that's a little bit deeper than that, because people want to do business with you not just because they're interested in your business, but because they like you as a person and see some kind of connection there and see that you're engaging with them. And so Meetup is great because you can pick an interest that's not necessarily related to what you do for your career or work, but those paths will lead you to a deeper and more meaningful conversation. And once you've established that relationship and you have that common interest that off of the Meetup group, then you can start to address business and how we all pay the bills and make a living. So that's one that I highly recommend. And if you haven't looked into it, whether it be that you like to play tennis or you're like Chris and you play hockey, like join a hockey meetup group or a tennis meetup group, and it will just, uncover opportunities with people that you didn't know before. And we all know what that leads to. So
Absolutely. Very good things. The last one I will say is this: go to Google. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times people are like, well, I don't really know where to start. Which one of these groups should I join? Go to Google. Type in your city, your state, and networking. That's it. And I'm telling you, there will be so many functions that will come up in your area and so many great opportunities. But I can tell you this: if you don't get involved in any of these, the very same thing will happen. You'll continue to have no results and your business will remain stagnant. If you get out there and join some of these groups or find some outside of the realm of these 9, you're going to have great opportunities to network. Before we wrap, I just want to share quickly a couple of little tips that I find great networking individuals have. And the first is you have to have your elevator pitch down pat. You know, these networking functions are not like you're going to go in and sit and talk to the same person for a half hour. It's not the way that they're structured. So you have to get your 30-second elevator pitch down pat. Who are you? What do you do? Who is a good lead or referral for you? And in also asking other individuals who are a good lead and referral for you. It shows that you're taking an interest in them.
Absolutely. A good elevator pitch is key. Here at Go Small Biz and Tarkenton Financial, we work with a lot of independent financial planners and advisors. And I will never forget a guy that was a client of mine told me once, whenever he's sitting on a plane or at a restaurant and someone asks him what he does, he could say, I'm a financial planner. But what he says is, I have a very unique way of finding money for people that they didn't even know that they had. And that was just his elevator pitch.
Yeah.
And it was so brilliant to me because it piques their interest.
Leaves them wanting more.
And it doesn't make them think that they're automatically having to pay for a service. It's just like, wow, could I be saving money somewhere, or do I have money that I don't know about? And obviously that makes them want to meet with him. So I agree with you 110%. It's not about handing out a business card or sitting and talking to someone about their family for 30 minutes. It is spending a lot of time cultivating different meaningful relationships, having your elevator pitch down, and also making a connection, and then following up, which I know is another tip you were going to get to.
Right, and once you make those relationships in bulk, you're gathering people, you're finding information, go back and I'm going to share this story. One of our great networkers out of Las Vegas, Ace Fair, is terrific. He'll come back from a networking function with just stacks of business cards, but also a notepad full of notes on each and every single person that he talks to and what was interesting about them and what's good to know. And he takes those business cards and spends the rest of the day writing handwritten thank you notes to each and every single person that he met that day. That goes right out the following day, so people get that the next day or 2 days after. The relationship is started immediately. And it sets him apart from every single other person that person may have met that day at a networking function. So remember, people do business with who they know, like, and trust, and creating relationships at networking functions is no different.
No different.
So folks, we appreciate you joining us, and we really, really hope that you got 1 or 2 things of value out of this session, but be sure to join us back next week for another valuable edition of GSB TV.